Hello, and chapter 4. That's where we are. Congratulations if you've made it this far along. The good news now, you get to use your calculator on everything the rest of the year. So in class, I will kind of show you how to use that, some shortcuts for fractions and things like that. And it's definitely really helpful for us as we move into decimals. And a lot of the computation we will do with that. And what you'll see happen is we'll start to look more at solving problems, but we do need to go over the basics of decimals. So you're probably going to see this chapter roll along quite a bit faster. It shouldn't take nearly the number of videos that the previous ones did, so that's good. So hopefully it'll feel like a bit of a relief, but still a lot of work to do. So there in front of you is the matching slide on your first page. All the things we're going to be going over in this chapter, all the different things that happen with decimals, from operations to applications. So let's just get right into it then. Let's move to the bottom of page number 1. We have to start with place values and making sure that you know and can recognize and identify all the place values. Well, this is what we should know so far. We should know all the place values over to the left of the decimals. So I'm going to change my color here to see if it'll show up a little better. Let's try blue. There we go. That's a little better. And as I scroll along here, the first place value is the tenths. So if you look at the bottom slide, you can fill that in on the blank there at the bottom of your page. And if we go one more over, that's the hundredths and the thousandths, 10,000ths, and the 100,000ths. So again, we've recognized the place values on this side. Notice the tenths, for example. Okay, so the tenths is the first one. It matches this one except for that THS. Okay, and then as we move over again, the hundreds is here, and as we move over this way, it's 100 with a THS. Thousand, thousandths. Okay, and the pattern continues. So basically, everything to the right of the decimal ends with a THS, and basically it mirrors the tens here. Again, this is the first place over. It mirrors the tens but has a THS, and it just follows the pattern going this way, just like on the others. So there is no oneths, and a way you can think of it, if I tell you I have this much money, most people know that that's 10 cents. You can think of it, it takes 10 of those to make $1. That's 1/10 of $1. A penny, or I'm sorry, 10 cents is 1/10 of $1. Okay, so there's no oneths. Pennies would be 0.01, and it takes 100 of those to make $1. Hence, that's why the second place value is hundreds right there. So you do need to know those names. Okay, and so you'll see some questions probably in your homework that come up like that. And then let's move along now, and let's get on into how to order and round and say numbers. So 26.34, well, the way you say that is this: 26 and 34 hundredths. Okay, basically, when you correctly say a number, you never say the word and unless you're referring to the decimal point. Okay, because you have wholes, that those numbers are all the wholes, and the decimals are basically less than 1. It's a part of a whole. Okay, so it's like $26.34, or 26 and 34ths. Okay, 34 hundredths, excuse me. So to say this number here, you basically look at the place value that it sits in, which is the hundreds, and then you just say that number and tag that word right there. For example, on this one right here, This place value, the 7, is the tenths. So for the and, you're going to say and 7 tenths. So this value would be 15 and 7 tenths. Now this one's a little bit harder on the bottom. The third one, that's tenths, hundredths, thousandths. That's 10 thousandths. So what we would do is we would read this number. For that, it would be 34 and, okay, 34 and, then you would just say the number. Say it. 2,346 ten thousandths. And that's how you actually say that value. 34 and 2,346 ten thousandths. Okay? So that part, you recognize this place value, tag that on the end after you just say, read the number left to right. Okay? So hopefully you'll be able to pick that up quickly. And let's go ahead and talk about converting from decimal notation to fraction notation. Well, if I have this value 9 and 875 tenth, hundred, those are thousandths. Okay, so that's a decimal. Okay, it's a fraction of a whole. It's 875 thousandths. So that's how you would say it. 9 and 875 thousandths. Take a look at this. Here's your wholes, the second question. Let's call that 1, 2, 3. 56 and 23 tenth, hundredth. 23 100ths. There it is. So if you can just say the decimal value, write down that fraction, you probably noticed in number 1 that we could reduce that. We're not reducing right now. We're just looking at how to turn that decimal into a fraction. And we'll work on reducing those later. Our calculator is actually going to help us do that now. So the last one, number 3, here's your whole 1 and 5,018 tenth, 100,000, 10,000. There you go. 1 and 5,018 ten thousandths. Right there. Okay, so let's move on how, what if I want to go the opposite direction? Let's say I have a fraction and I want to turn that into a decimal. Okay, that's what we talk about on this slide right here. Now, I went ahead and gave you numbers with a power of 10 denominator, so we can do that without a calculator. What you can remember though is that is a division sign. So anytime you have something, if you're just converting something to a fraction, from a fraction to a decimal, what you can do is just divide it. 743 divided by 100. Now this one's easy enough. You should be able to do this without a calculator, and I'll show you that next. But when you have other fractions, that's what you do. You just put it in your calculator. Anyway, what we want to do is realize that the 100th place, can we have decimals? There's the tenths. There's the hundredths. So this number on the far right has to go in that place. And then you just fill in the number 7 and 43 100ths, which is what that was right there. Bottom one, a little easier question actually, it's 9 the 10th place, 9 tenths right there. And hopefully that's helpful for you. Again, reminder, I know we're almost done with this video here because we're nearing 10 minutes, but make sure you're hitting pause if you need to review something for later. Okay, here's another one. So 23 and 59 100ths. Okay, so that 9 has to go in the 100th place. So you just put the 9 in the 100ths, and then you write down the rest of the number right there. Same thing right here. This is an interesting one though. The 9 has to go in the 10,000s place. Well, let's look at what happens here. 10th, 100, 1,000, 10,000s, right? 10, 100,000. Here's the 10,000s place. So the 9 has to go there, the 2 has to go there, the 1 has to go there. Uh-oh, I've got a gap. What do you think that's going to be? I'm hoping you said 0. There, and then you just fill in the whole value. It's 772 wholes, and that value right there. Okay, we're at 10 minutes there, so I am going to stop here and move on to video 2 in just a moment, and we'll talk to you soon.